Welcome to Sister Talk Real Talk, a show where real women discuss real issues. My name is Monique, and I have the honor and the pleasure of being your host every week. On this show, I provide women with information, insights, and perspectives that I hope will enlighten, challenge, and encourage you to live your best life and to walk in your purpose. Stay tuned, it's going to be a great show. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Sister Talk Real Talk. Well, welcome back. I'm excited because we're continuing the conversation this week. This week's topic is Let's Talk Friends Part 2. Now, if you missed Part 1, I really want you to go ahead and listen to this one, but I want you after this to go back and listen to Part 1. What we're talking about is, can men and women have opposite sex friends while they're in a committed monogamous relationship? And if so, what does it look like when it's right? What does it look like when it's not quite right? What does it look like when it's just wrong? I have a guest with me today who's requested to remain anonymous so that he can keep his man card. I kind of gave him a hard time about that. But he's trying to give some insight to women and give it to us that we don't typically get. You know, we sit around, and as I said in my previous show, we will talk, we will analyze, we've spent hours with our girlfriends on the phone going, well, girl, I think he meant this, and this is what I think is going on, and this is what I think. So instead of us trying to think and pontificate and figure out and observe and come up with our own conclusions, I thought, why don't we just ask? And we really didn't kind of get your background and history, but you've been in relationships. Do you want to tell us a little bit just kind of about your perspective as a man and your kind of exposure to women so that people have a little more insight? I didn't do that last time, so I apologize to my listeners.
Okay, well, yeah, well, I was married and and divorced, and now I'm currently in a committed relationship with a woman, and we have a very thorough understanding. And at this point in our relationship, we are what I like to call ironclad, and everything is we is talked about and it's discussed on all topics. So our level of communication is what I like to call platinum. We're in a platinum level of communication, which means we're not just golden, we're platinum. So the strength of our relationship is our communication.
Okay.
And that's something that a lot of relationships don't have. So I don't want to go off the subject, but the fact that you need to know what's the nature, the strength of your relationship. What are you negotiating? My past says, hey, being that we talk about just about everything, no ironclad decisions are made without the other person's consent.
So you mentioned it, and I think this is a really good segue into things, lessons learned from past relationships, your previous marriage, things like that. Now that you're a bit older and you've experienced some things, I know that there are men that listen to the podcast as well. I know it's called Sister Talk Real Talk, but men have realized they can get some really good insight about what to do and what not to do. They have some of the same questions that we have, just kind of flip the script and they have them. So for the men that are listening, for the women that are listening and are curious, because I'm sure they've seen some of the just different things or maybe currently experiencing, what do you want them to know now about female friends that you'd wish you'd known before, and how some things that maybe have negatively previously impacted, your dating relationships, other things like that? What do you want men to understand? And then I'm going to ask you a part 2 of that about women.
Well, I listen to the podcast. That's why I'm speaking today because I feel that, you know, it's real interesting. There was so much that women go through that as a man I had no idea, did not have a clue. So men would love to know why why are women so emotional on certain topics and subjects. I mean, like for men, this was a touchy subject of having a female friend that your girlfriend is not cool with, that you're gonna have to let go. Now, because some female friends, like I said, they're part of your squad. So you got to cut off a squad member for the sake of your relationship. You know, there's some emotional attachment as a friend, a squad member, but basically, I have to cut off my friend because she's a female. That's
Does
how
it
men see it.
does it make a difference if it's a female or male friend? What if one of your male friends disrespected your woman? Would you
See,
cut them off?
now, of course, most guys would want to punch him right in the face, you know what I'm saying, and then cut him off that way, because
Right.
most men are more physical first.
But would you cut that male friend off if this is a woman, let's say you're in love with, a woman that you're working towards getting to the relationship of spending the rest of your life with? Maybe you're married to her. Maybe you're married to this woman. You've gotten to the point where you're married. This male friend disrespects your wife. They're number five. So they're if they haven't heard the previous podcast,
Hmm.
my listeners are a little bit at a disadvantage. So let me recap. So what we're talking about is male and female friends, as I said, and opposite sex friends when you're in a monogamous committed relationship. But one of the things we identified is, how do you know basically someone's safe? How do you know someone is for your relationship and not against it? I personally don't believe there are a lot of neutrals. People in your life are either for you or against you. They're either for your relationship or they're not. That exhibits, I think, and shows in different ways, but you can tell when someone is really pulling for you, when someone's really for you. So, my guest talked about five things last time that I just want to recap of what are some things to look out for. And I really true, he said from a male's perspective, but I want to make this applicable from a female perspective, because I don't think we'll get any argument that these five things at least are a very good litmus test, or a way to be able to figure out or define whether or not an opposite sex friend of someone that you love is a threat. So, have you had sex with them? That's an automatic out. You've crossed a threshold of intimacy, whatever the case. I don't care if it was 32 years ago. You had sex with them, they shouldn't be around the relationship. Number two was, how close are you? Is this person that's your friend caught in the friend zone? And I think a lot of times, the person that is the person that is not in the friend zone, the other part of that dynamic of that friendship, I think a lot of times people are really oblivious to the fact that this other person likes them or is in love with them even. And sometimes I think that people are aware of it, but to be honest, whether it's a male or female, they enjoy the attention. They know that they can get the emotional support, the attention, the other things from this person that they haven't been able to find anywhere else. They're not interested in a romantic relationship, but they enjoy the emotional benefits. Then there's number three, the needy person, or the needy guy, as you said, or the needy woman, the person that's calling you up all the time, needing something emotionally. I need you for this. I need you for that. Can you come here and help me with this? Can you help me with that? And you're like, man, and they're calling you and texting you all the time. They communicate more with your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, more than you do almost. that's that's a red flag. Another red flag are they take advantage of the friend. They're borrowing money and not giving it back. They need to use your car. You need to use this. They need to use that. They see you as a source of, or a resource for them, which is crossing certain other boundaries that we'll get into another thing that has to deal with your own personal boundaries and space and how you value yourself, that you're allowing someone to do that. And number five is they don't respect the relationship. They have the attitude of, day one to day nine is, I was here before you and I'll be here after you. So I really don't care who you are or who you think you are. Even if you're a girlfriend, a fiance, a wife, a boyfriend, a fiance, a husband, I really don't care because I was here before you, which is disrespect, not just to the person, but I think to the overall relationship and the couple and then the person that you're calling your friend. Did I recap those correctly?
Yep, you got dead on.
Okay, thank you. So we really want to talk about what we were talking about to give, we wanted to recap that for them. But to discuss, what does that look like when you have that opposite sex friend, and what is it that you want women to understand about that? And you were saying, why are women so emotional, right? That
Yeah,
was the question.
yeah. Like why? I mean, as a man, we don't know women speak. We know men speak. We know communication between men. We know men's hidden interior motives. We men know men. So if a woman has some type of underlying motive, we can't tell that. So we want to know why a woman so emotional when another female is introduced into the relationship as the man's friend. Why do women just? I mean, I can understand from a man's perspective, if you look at the dude and he's like, if you're 5'11" and he's like 6'4" and with a six pack and you got a beer gut, you automatically are gonna feel intimidated. But look at this guy; he looks like Prince Charming, and I look like Joe who works at the back of the trash truck. But if you have a female friend, a visual is not even implied, but women
Would you
still get
like for me to
defensive.
attempt to break it down for you?
Please answer this question for
Okay,
us.
so let me ask you this question. And women, please, I hope that I do it justice. If I leave out something, you have a different perspective, let me know. Talk back to me. I love it when you talk back and get your information. Okay, so so here's the thing. Men, you guys see threats. You see physical threats. If you're a gentleman, you have your woman walk on the inside, not closest to the street. You make sure that they're safe. You make sure, did you lock your car door? Did you do this? You look at the potential physical threats. You see them, you're like, oh, look out for that. Look out for that. You see things a lot of times that we don't see. You're the protector. God has created men to be the protector, the fighter, the provider, those kind of things, right? So you innately, if someone comes up and there's a physical threat to your woman, you will beat them down because you're like, my job is to protect her.
Mm-hmm.
Think of us women as the protectors of your heart in the relationship. We also are protectors. We also fight, but it's not physical. We see the threats a lot of times that men don't see when it comes emotionally, and we know women. Just like men know men, for example, if a woman's like, oh, that guy's my friend, he's no threat. He's been around a long time, and he cooks me dinner sometimes, and he comes over and hangs out, and he'll even rub my feet for me, and we're just good friends. I'm not attracted to him at all. I saw the look on your face when I just said that. It's great. I'm so glad that you could join me in my studio, and we're not doing this virtually because it was great to see that look on your face. You're like, he rubs my back, he goes and, he gets me ice cream and brings me stuff when it's that time of the month and I have cramps, and he'll go get Midol and tampons and blah, blah, blah. And if you heard that from your girl, you'd be like, what would your response be?
Well, because those are boyfriend or husband perks
Mm-hmm.
for a woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that if I didn't hit that yet, I'm planning on
If
hitting
you didn't
that.
get the cookie, if you didn't have
Yeah,
sex,
if
you're
I didn't smash that yet, oh, trust me, I'm gonna smash that. I'm already lining up. I'm doing everything I need to do, because I'm definitely planning on smashing that. Definitely. So
okay. So you see that clear as day.
yeah.
You're probably dumbfounded at the fact that a woman wouldn't see that, but she has no interest in him. Right? He's been around, he's hung around, he hasn't made a move on her, hasn't tried to kiss her or anything like that. He's even slept overnight and being the perfect gentleman. They could fall and sleep with the same bed together. She feels totally safe because he's just her buddy. Just as clear as you can see that, women see the emotional stuff. So it's interesting. You're like, those are boyfriend perks. There are certain emotional things that are girlfriend perks, like the ability to be able to call you anytime, day or night, the ability to be able to call you when my car breaks down, the ability to be able to call you when something's going on and someone's hurt my feelings and I need insight, I need information, the ability to be able to call you um, and to have you over, the ability to be able to say, hey, I really like such and such that you make, and to have you come over and you do that. There are certain things that we see emotionally, or Maybe it's the frequency of communication. Girlfriend perks is I'm girlfriend status. If a woman's girlfriend status, look, I get to talk to you anytime, day or night, whenever I want. It's girlfriend status kind of thing. Now we work and being reasonable and not text them 400 times at work and all of those kind of things. But it's access, right? Let me say it's access. The level of access should be dependent upon how close someone is to your heart.
So you're saying the level of communication
Mm-hmm.
is beyond the friendship
Mm-hmm.
level of communication because it interferes with the girlfriends.
It's not even the interfering with. If we step back and look, and there's a woman in your life, and you're talking to her every day, and you're communicating, and she knows what's going on in your life, and you know what's going on in hers, or you guys communicate on this regular basis, and um, there's a way in which she talks to you. Just like men know there's a way in which a man talks to a woman, you can hear by the way a man talks to a woman. I've heard, tell me if this is incorrect. A man can tell from another man by the way he talks to a woman if he's interested in the woman, if he's sleeping with a woman, if that woman is his. Is that correct?
Yes, you can. Most men
Mm-hmm.
can tell by the sound, the tone, the body language.
Okay. So for women, it's a little bit more difficult for you men to see because it's a little more subtle, but we pick it up because we know women. I think what men and women forget is that we know our own sexes. So, in that dialogue about friends, there are certain cues that you pick up on. One of the things that I said in the previous podcast that's telltale, particularly for women, is how does that other woman treat the woman, your girlfriend, your wife in your life? How does she treat her? That's one of the biggest things. Because, and I said it before and I'll say it again, our number one job is if we are a friend to a man and he is in a loving relationship and he's in a committed relationship, one of our number one jobs at that point is to make sure that that woman is cool with us, that she's okay, that she knows we are not a threat, that we have the best interest. And here's the other thing, we have to be mature enough. We know that a woman that is mature, that is self-aware, that is respectful, she's going to know if she's used to having certain levels of communication with that friend, no matter what that is. When he gives her and puts her on notice that in a committed relationship, she's got to dial that back.
Okay, so I think I got it. So guys, if you're listening, so basically, it's like if the female friend is introduced to the girlfriend, the female friend may have thought she was the number one female in that guy's life, but she now has to take the number two slot and let the girlfriend take the number one slot. Is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In all aspects. And not just allow the girlfriend to take the number one spot, but to respectfully step back so there's room for the girlfriend. She's not giving her the spot because it's not hers to give. That comes from the man,
Okay. I follow.
right? And so that's why women get so emotional because by the time we recognize that this woman's a threat, because most women, we're going to give the woman a chance, right? It's kind of that sister thing. We'll give you a chance. Okay, you say there's nothing there. But when we start seeing little things, when the woman is like, you're in a conversation, you're around the woman and she ignores you and she's not trying to talk to you, but she's on him and maybe her arms on him and she's like, oh, ha, ha, ha. And she's laughing and kind of tilting her head when she laughs and all this other stuff. And she's trying to get more of his attention than you when you guys are together. They're subtle. Now, to you, that woman's acting the way she always acts.
Right.
But that in and of itself is a foul. For men, that's a flag on the play
Gotcha.
because she can't continue to act the way she acted. Because the way a woman should act with you when you have a girlfriend versus when you don't have a girlfriend should shift. There should
Mm-hmm.
be some distance. Just like you would expect, I would think a man would expect for a man to step back as well. You're her friend, cool. You like her brother, great. But I'm here now. That's kind of the sense that I get from men. Okay, yeah, you used to help her with her car, used to help. Okay, that was really nice of you. I'm here now. Because if not, if some other man's doing that stuff for your woman, how does a man feel?
depending on the nature of the relationship and the nature of the man. Some guys may not be mechanically inclined, so that's not their strong point.
Right.
Other about a real man, as speaking as of myself, a real man is not going. That's not going to fly with me.
Okay. And I think with a lot of women that are in their place and are walking in their power, that's not going to fly with them. When a woman is really walking in her power and her self worth, there are different things that are deal breakers for different people, but there are things that aren't going to fly. They're going to say, no, that's not okay. So now we should probably talk about how do you respond? There's the woman's emotional, she's upset. Typically what I have seen or in what I've experienced myself is by the time I get to the point I'm upset and emotional, it's because I have tried tactfully, maybe not effectively, but tactfully to convey to the man that I see this woman as a threat to our relationship. Just as a man would see a physical threat, I see it as an emotional threat. Help my listeners and help me and my listeners understand how should we talk and convey it in terms so that we don't want to get to that emotional spot. But do you know what we've realized? When we get emotional, y'all listen.
Oh
Y'all
yeah.
pay attention.
Oh yes, because it's like there's a fire, there's a three
Right.
alarm blaze,
Yep.
and I'm there with just a bucket of water, and I got a building a skyscraper that's on
You got a
fire,
sponge.
and I'm like, how do I put this out?
Right.
So basically, personally speaking, women, I can advise you that you got to really get your man's attention. Because as a man, my first response is to be defensive.
Okay.
Because you're basically telling me that you're not comfortable with somebody who is my friend.
Who's near and dear to your heart? They're your friend.
They are truly a friend who's been
Okay.
there for me. And so I got to choose. I got to get rid of this friend. Why? Why do I have to get rid of her? Is the initial response like, oh, we're going to defensive. So you got to get a man's attention.
Okay.
Literally talk, get in his face, eye to eye, and talk to us like we're in third grade. Basically, it's like don't belittle, but don't come off too strong because there are some women who just we don't. Most men would think, oh, you're tripping because you just feel threatened because she's just a female who I've known before you. You know, as a, like as a man, we may not see that woman as a threat. Like I've known this girl for years. She done been over my house. I've been to her house. You know, nobody
Right.
ever tried to make a move. I'm not feeling her,
But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
and that's true. That's going to be a defensive mechanism for
Right.
most men.
Let me tell men, the men that are listening, please listen. The absolute worst thing that you can ever say to us women when we come to you with something like that is to say that, oh, you just feel threatened because she's a woman or you're insecure. Because at that point, and I think I really want men to understand that, it takes a lot for a woman to come to a man and to be vulnerable enough to say, that woman right there, she scares me because I see something that could potentially put a wedge between us. And I care about you, or I love you, or this person is a threat. We're being vulnerable. And I don't think men may see it as an attack, but we're actually coming to you at our weakest point.
We see it as an attack. We're like, wait a moment, this is my friend. If she wanted to, to smash, she would have been made a move. So, you want me to get rid of my friend? Wait a moment.
Okay, so I think this is it. I think I think we may be onto something here. Men immediately go to sex, right? You just said it. If she
Yeah,
wants to smash, if she wants to have sex, then men immediately go to that. Men think that the only kind of intimacy, cheating, intimacy, whatever that is, a lot of men think that it's just sex. I haven't had sex with her. I don't want to have sex with her. I don't see it that way. So what's the problem? That's how men see it.
yeah, because men, Most men are physical, most women are emotional.
So women know that we're emotional and that we build emotional attachments. I think they said, uh, it may have been Psychology Today where I read it, but I think it was like 73% of all women that cheat, it starts with an emotional affair first. If it's at work, it's the conversations, it's having lunch every once in a while. It's the man that pays attention to her, compliments her dress, compliments, oh, you changed your hair. The little things where she starts feeling more valued, more respected, more cared for, more loved, that she's being paid, that this man is more attentive to her and her needs than anyone else, or or I should say, than her husband, her boyfriend, the person she's in a relationship with. So in that, women are emotional. So we need to get, it sounds like, men to understand, would it work if we said, hey, I wanted to talk to you. I really need to talk to you. I'm concerned because I don't feel like so and so is respecting the relationship. And I don't mean, I don't think that she necessarily wants to have sex with you, but she does want to be number one in emotionally or in her connection with you.
Well,
Or is there another way? Help me out here.
well, basically, if the man values his woman,
Mm-hmm.
then he's gonna value her opinion.
How can we say it though in a way?
Now, there, like I said, you have to get his full, undivided attention.
Okay.
Yelling and screaming and letting your emotions run ragged during a conversation, or, or that will be classified as an argument, will not work. You
Okay.
can't force a man to listen to you, but don't get in front of the basketball game or the football game and be like,
Okay.
we need to talk. That is the worst time.
We got that down. No basketball game, no football game, no playoffs, no, if it's hockey or soccer or whatever the case may be. We got that.
But
Can we do it if we're out to dinner?
well, yes, you wanna catch him when you have his undivided attention.
Undivided attention.
Okay,
He's relaxed, right?
and the tone that you use, choice of words, maybe. This has to be like a well planned out effort.
So how do we say it? What do we say to men? Because we know that by the time we get to the point with a 5 alarm fire and you've got your bucket, like you said, we've got your attention. You're hearing us, but you're not listening and understanding to what we're saying. So it's at a disservice. You guys know that something's wrong. How do we get your attention without the flames in the fire?
That's by the communication. See, that goes back to the strength of your relationship. How strong is your communication with your man? If you have a strong communication with him, you can explain it to him very thoroughly. I repeat, very thoroughly. Hey, listen, this friend of yours, I don't feel comfortable with this friendship. Now, when you bring that up, be prepared to give a solution.
Okay.
From us being defensive to, well, what do you want me to do?
Okay. Do we need to explain to you why we don't feel comfortable?
Yes.
Okay.
Please explain that.
So ladies, listen, we're saying I don't feel comfortable. I like that. Okay? That's great because it's like your friend. Ladies, please don't. Your friend I'm trying to think of a name of someone I don't know. Know so many different women's names, but your friend, she, this and that and the other. Don't attack the friend and don't attack him. I can't believe that you're friends with her. That's the wrong approach. We need to own our emotions, right? So you're saying, own it. Say, I don't feel comfortable.
And be thorough in your in details.
Okay.
Because you're just going to say, I don't feel comfortable. You're going to have to cut her off. Whoa.
Well, and is it a cutoff? Is it an absolute on-off switch? Can it be
For men, no. It has to be
one or the other?
Because we're going to demand that of you.
Ah, okay, ladies. Did you hear that? Can you repeat that again, please?
So we're going to demand that of you. Look, I don't trust this guy. He got to go. So your response is, well, why? So men, then that's what we'll say. Here's why I don't feel comfortable with this guy. So we would expect you to tell us why as well.
So is there any negotiation? Like, is it, I would be comfortable with this friend if you limit communication, or if this friend treats me this way, or is that just going down a slippery slope?
Can you negotiate a threat to
Ooh,
your relationship? I think not.
I like that. And I cannot believe it. The time has flown by. We're out of time already. So we may end up bringing back a part three of this conversation, because it sounds like we're just getting to the tip of the iceberg. I like that. Can you negotiate? Can you negotiate a threat? That is a great question. And I think we all know the answer to that. As the United States, we have a stance that we don't negotiate with terrorists. You can't negotiate a threat. You have to eliminate that. And sometimes that's very painful on both sides to do that. But it goes back to a question that you asked earlier, is how important is the relationship and what does it mean to you? So, with that, ladies, I hope that you have found this informative. If nothing else, I hope that it has given you something to think about, and also something to talk about. Talk back to me. Reach me on Facebook at Sister Talk Real Talk. Tweet me at Sister Talk for Real. Can men and women have opposite sex friendships when they're in a committed relationship? Thanks for listening. As always, I appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of your week. And until next time, keep it real. Thank you for listening to Sister Talk Real Talk. I hope that today's show has informed, enlightened, encouraged, or challenged you. We're always on doing this thing called life with you throughout the week. You can catch us on Facebook and on Instagram at Sister Talk Real Talk, and on Twitter at Sister Talk for Real. That's Sister Talk, the number 4, real. Let's continue the conversation throughout the week. You can catch all of our shows on our blog at sistertalkrealtalk.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Until then, keep it real.